Hey everyone, Carl here with Literate Lessons, and today we are talking about the final Ruinous Pokemon. Wo-Chien is a very powerful Pokemon in certain aspects and a very weak Pokemon in others. It's a very polarizing option for a lot of people. I would expect people who like long, grindy games to like this Pokemon a whole lot more than the more hyper-offensive, looking to deal damage type of players. Starting off with Wo-Chien's typing, Dark and Grass is one of the weaker typing combinations you can have in the game. There's a lot of weaknesses. They don't really overlap in terms of resistances that well. And overall, the coverage that Wo-Chien boasts doesn't help its typing out at all. So a lot of the times what this Pokemon will do is it will terastalize away from its Dark and Grass typing into things like Terra Fire, Terra Poison, or Terra Fairy. All of these avoid a lot of the common weaknesses that Dark and Grass would have to worry about, things like Bug, Fire. In the case for Dark, there's Fairy and Fighting that can be a problematic typing. So being able to go to Fire, to Poison, to Fairy to kind of avoid these big weaknesses is a bonus for Wo-Chien. Especially since this Pokemon wants to stick around on the field for a long time, kind of chip away at your opponents and stall the game out. Wo-Chien's signature ability, Tablets of Ruin, means that you can have a very effective way of stalling games out against these mostly physical teams looking to play things like Chien-Pao and Dragonite to kind of try and push their way through teams while ignoring Intimidate because of that defense debuff. Tablets of Ruin means that they get an attack debuff as well, so it kind of equals out and makes it real hard for them to push their game plan as effectively as they want to, and when combined with some other stally Pokemon, Cough Cough, Ting Lu, most teams have a hard time dealing with Wo-Chien and its partners on the battlefield. Adding to all of this, it has a very good suite of support moves. Think things like Pollen Puff, Snarl, Leech Seed, Substitute. I believe it has Poison Powder and Stun Spore as good status moves if that's something you're interested in. I believe it also has access to Knock Off, which is a very, very powerful Dark type move. Yep, there's Knock Off. I know you have access to Reflect and Light Screen, so that's something I've seen people doing with Wo-Chien as well, kind of being the screen setter. That's very, very bulky. And what's great about Wo-Chien overall as a Pokemon is, while yes, you are lacking in damage, you do have the things like Foul Play and Ruination to kind of help you deal your damage and chip away at your opponents. Overall, Wo-Chien's EV spread isn't anything to really write home about. A lot of the times you'll be looking to do like max HP and then looking to invest in your defense and special defense respectively. Notably, your defense and special defense are very, very high, so you don't have to invest as much to try and get some bonuses, but most of the time that's where you're going to be spending a lot of your EVs. As for natures, anything that's like Bold, Impish, anything that's going to raise one of your defenses but lower your attack or your speed, depending on what you want your EVs are doing, is going to be beneficial for you. Let's take a couple examples here of what a possible Wo-Chien set looks like. This first one is Leftovers with Pollen Puff, Leech Seed, Protect, and Substitute. This is looking to kind of be the standard stall set, kind of draw your opponents out. Usually you play something like Glamora or other really good chip damage alongside it to kind of just keep your opponents kind of trapped in the game and really stall it out, make it hard for them to deal with Wo-Chien and the partner Pokemon. Another set that does something very similar is having access to the move Mean Look. That means you can lock down an opposing Pokemon and then get a Leech Seed off, meaning that they are stuck throughout the duration of Leech Seed or whatever other status you may want to inflict until Wo-Chien goes down. This, combined with Tablets of Ruin and Snarl, makes this a very hard Pokemon to take out effectively once you kind of get this whole lock kind of set up. The last option here is like an Assault Vest set. Most of the time you're probably going to be playing Leftovers for that extra recovery, but Assault Vest is just as good. Being the fact that you do have an ability that lowers your opponent's attack, you can kind of invest all into your defense and use Assault Vest to boost your special defense and kind of just get some extra benefits that way. Move-wise, you're going to probably want to be playing more offensive moves, things like Giga Drain, Energy Ball, Dark Pulse, and the like. This set tends to be running Giga Drain, Ruination, Snarl, and Pollen Puff. Pollen Puff allows you to kind of play into that Wo-Chien mirror a little bit better because you do have a super effective move there. while also being able to heal your partner and kind of stall the game out that way. Overall, all three of these sets kind of just really scream about Wo-Chien's game plan going forward. This is the ultimate like defense Pokemon. If you're looking to play stall, if you're looking to play a slower game plan, Wo-Chien is probably the Pokemon you're going to want to be playing on your team. And so building around this Pokemon is what's going to be very, very important. That being said, looking at some examples of Pokemon teams that could do well with Wo-Chien, I have two options here. Most of them contain a lot of the same Pokemon because Wo-Chien really needs a lot of the same things. In this situation, this team here is playing 3 of the Ruin Pokemon in Ting-Lu, Wo-Chien, and Chi-Yu. And then we're also playing things like Fluttermane, Goldengo, and Palafin just to kind of be those big, heavy-hitting damage dealers. Overall, this team's goal is to take out a couple Pokemon, set Wo-Chien up with like Ting-Lu or a very good like attacker, a very good special attacker, and kind of be able to whittle your opponent down and essentially stall out games that you normally wouldn't win with just your hyper-offensive modes of Fluttermane, Goldengo, and Palafin. This other team is kind of doing something very similar, just has different tools. I like this one a lot because it has access to Glimmora, being able to essentially help out the stally plan that Wo-Chien's looking to accomplish. On top of that, you also have things like Mousehold to kind of help draw out these games. Annihilate and Palafin are acting as our hyper-offensive mode alongside Chi-Yu. And so the kind of when you're looking to build with Wo-Chien, you're going to be like, okay, I have Wo-Chien's kind of a stall plan. How can I supplement this and deal damage and not just be essentially worked out of the game because my opponent can pivot around and I'm not dealing any damage that way? Glimmora, Palafin, Chi-Yu all kind of answer those questions very, very well, and usually there's some number of playing with like Pokemon, but the main things you're going to want is like Chi-Yu, Palafin, another special attacker, another physical attacker, or even another like support in like Ting-Lu, or in this case Mousehold. So overall, Wo-Chien has a lot to offer as a Pokemon in this Regulation C format coming up. It's not going to be the best Pokemon out there. It's very, very hard Pokemon to play with and build with because it is one of these slower Pokemon looking to play a longer, grindier game plan, which means more decisions, and it opens yourself up to more risks. However, if you can figure out how to mitigate these risks via team building and or naturally just playing the Pokemon, you're going to end up winning more games more often. If you like what you see, make sure to do all that fun YouTube stuff for us on your way out. Like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out a ton. And we will see you all next week for the first week of Regulation C. Bye, everyone.